You're asking me, Meenakshi, you're touching upon a very, very sensitive chord in my life. Yes, one has to go back with this question of yours in time when I was perhaps 7 or 8 years old, when I went to my grandfather's place, and we had a lot of big aunties.
Eight, 9 years old children, when they get special attention from elders and get appreciated, so it makes them feel happy. Okay. So that's how he won our trust and confidence in him. He invited us. We went to his place.
We used to be about 5-6 girls together boarding the school bus. There was this man who used to come, an ambassador, and he would ask us, "Can you tell me this address?"
Well, it wasn't like somebody offered you chocolates, but it was like posters being offered to you, some very colorful Cadbury posters or some lovely boxes, empty boxes. Even that makes you happy.
Oh, wow, it's a shell. Shell, it's a shell, good shell. I've seen first time.
Once we went there, we were more impressed. We saw him in full uniform. The power around him. So many Jawans saluting him and all the respect. The moment we told the sentry about whom we are going to meet, the sentry was already informed that he will be coming there.
Right.
So we got a very special treatment.
When I reached the platform, I took out a book, I started reading. A person came he was also in the waiting room, he came to me. So roughly being friendly, and I also enjoyed that friendship, that all right, it's okay. It was also kind of a feeling that yes, I am now grown up enough to belong to the mature world, and there is somebody adult who is talking to me on the same terms of equality. So that was also a bit flattering.
Først rider en frøken går i dilt og i trav, og dilt og trav. Først rider en frøken går i dilt og trav, dilt og trav.
I can still remember it was night, it was what kind of cot it was, who were people sleeping around. These things I don't remember so many other good things in my life. But I do remember these, sexual assaults.
When I saw inside the car, like I wanted to see the paper on which the address was written, I saw his private part, and it was showing off, and he was trying to give those kind of looks, and then he would look at his part, and then again
The thing was that he wanted me to touch him at his pants down over there.
I was wordless, couldn't understand. He left the room. He went in the other room where my cousin was sitting. He came back after a few minutes. Then again he told, "You Muslim guys, you have that, circumcised penis. I want to see that." So I could not resist verbally. In a state of shock, I could not react rather. Yeah. Before I could, get into my senses, he had already opened my shorts. Yeah. And my penis was in his hands. He started kissing it. That time I felt so disgusted.
The tragedy of male children is more, because nobody thinks that, that the male child can be molested. And this goes on, and nobody notices. Gundagardi chaldi rehti.
it was worse when it came from a man. It was worse. And by that time I had grown sufficiently to realize that these kind of things are a sign of moral deprivation, I mean degradation.
I was a bit frightened because physically I wasn't very strong.
I used to sympathize with myself.
I felt like crying, killing him or hitting him, but finally I couldn't do anything. After a few minutes I sat there still wondering what I have done. Like it was something like I have been victimized, I have been exploited.
Why is child sexual abuse or CSA so common? And it's precisely so common because it is linked to something much larger, which is human sexuality. That is the root of the problem. And child sexual abuse is perhaps the worst kind of aberration there is of a human sexuality that is not understood, its complexities are not addressed.
Child sexual abuse. So, who is a child? What do you mean by sexual, and what is abuse? When you think of a child, you're certainly thinking of somebody below the age of 14 or 15, though the UN talks about child as below the age of 18. Now, sexual again, sexual can mean gestures. Sexual can just mean just a touch like this. It need not have to be a rape or penetration or actually somebody's panties being taken down or hand put somewhere.
আমার প্রথম সিনাকি গলিনে কি পাহরি রঙা বগা ফুল বসা এগে খনি পিন্ধিলো আপং বাতি দিছিলি লাহে লাহে কো.
Now, why it becomes an abuse for the child is because in her later years it would be a memory.
Till date, if I am looking for some auto or if I am standing somewhere and if a car comes and stops, that immediate that scene comes in front of me, immediate, so that thing doesn't go, that is there.
Probably as a child I didn't even know that it is sexual assault. It's now I remember that it was his cock, it was, but that time I didn't even know. It was out of my word. I didn't know how to react to it.
I was big enough to understand that this is my private thing and it's not an organ to be, hand it over to others to fiddle with it.
A child may be aware of all the aspects of child abuse, but when he or she is being victimized, he or she may not have the ability to manage that.
A child is uncomfortable in the state of abuse. It's not happy, it's not natural. So the symptoms will come out. A child can be bedwetting. A child can become very distracted at school, can lose concentration, will start throwing tantrums, will be unnecessarily angry or aggressive, suddenly will become very reclusive.
There shall be showers of blessing.
Did you ever get the feeling at that time, if you go back in a memory lane, that you wanted to talk about it to somebody, or perhaps just share it, or sometimes the secrets give you pain and agony, sometimes, and those are the first experiences. Did you feel that you need somebody to share?
We don't listen to children. I mean, even when children are sexually abused, I mean, I have come across cases where parents don't want to hear it because they're scared of the social embarrassment that it will cause. So they will tell the child, no, you're wrong, it could not have happened.
We are really child oppressive people. I've yet to see, including myself, not to be oppressive, toward children. Immediately. This is, it's culturally, handed down to us from generations. Gundagardi generations se chali aa rahi hai. So this sexual abuse takes us to a wider plane. Are we concerned when a daughter comes and tells his mother कि मैनू इस बंदे ने छेड़िया सीगा, वो पहले प्यो पहला उन्हें कुटेगा अपनी धी नूं. पंजाब च हुंदा इस तरह. It's a horrible society.
Me and my cousin, we both sat together and discussed about it. What should be our action? Whom should we tell? Our grandfather, father, mother? And finally we narrowed into one common aspect, that if we tell, the first reaction will be, why the hell you went with a stranger?
The only thing which I did was I reported it back home, not voluntarily, but every time I was sent to that shop, I kind of said that please I don't want to go. So on one or two instances it was like, you were given a pasting because why don't you want to go? Till finally I opened my mouth and said, look, this is what it is. Well, fortunately my parents understood me and did not, because like let us say during our times, children were, it is always seen that you did something. The perception was never that an adult can do something.
किसी ने आपको टच किया हो और आपको अनकंफर्टेबल लगा हो, ऐसा कभी हुआ है? एनी बॉय?
तब मेरे फादर जब सोते हैं तब वो सोए हुए लेकिन नींद में जब वो मुझे पकड़ते हैं तब अनकंफर्टेबल फील होता है. बहुत जोर से पकड़ते हैं.
अच्छा एक बात बताओ, ऐसे कोई आपको कोई आंटी पकड़ ले जैसे आपके पापा पकड़ते हैं, या कोई अंकल पकड़ ले, तो आपको कैसे लगेगा?
बुरा लगेगा.
It is very unfortunate that you do not do anything but you begin to feel a sense of guilt.
Children are most likely to be abused by people they know. That could be very, very close, which could be in the family. It could be uncles, grandfathers, fathers, house help, tutors, teachers, gym teachers, music teachers. But people who have some kind of a relationship with the child.
It is fascinating that generally those who abuse are also very polite and gentle. They are not generally the ruffians or the, who one can say that write the person off. So that is another characteristic which one finds with those who abuse children or basically who are sexual abusers, that they are gentlemen and they are very polite. So getting people to be convinced that these are dangerous elements also becomes very difficult.
An old man, of my, bearing, of, my, gentle face, could be more dangerous than, an ordinary beggar in the street.
Abuser close to the child uses trust, love and negotiation, which is why also one has to understand that very few children experience physically extremely violent abuse. Where they get mutilated or very badly damaged. That happens in a smaller percentage, and usually those are abusers who are not known because then they disappear. Within the family, within the known circle of the child, the abuser won't damage them physically because that will give him or her away. So it's usually an abuse which is physically not that harmful, but emotionally and sexually it's completely devastating.
The study has been conducted by this department on the basis of the medico-legal and forensic examination of the victim as well as the assailants of child abuse. The most vulnerable age of child abuse is 6 to 14 years, and the most dangerous age of child abusers is 16 to 20 years.
Since you yourself have experienced certain incidents which had the elements of child sexual abuse, where does the parenting go wrong? And is it actually the parenting gone wrong, or they are just the chances which happen, or some kind of information would have protected you better?
Children are being exposed to so many things, so it is not only parents who put them in vulnerable positions, but it is they themselves who put themselves in vulnerable positions. But then the best friends and the best anchor they can have is the parent. They need not be explained totally what is sexual abuse, but at least they can be told, you don't like something, show your dissent. Because what do we do at home? Everything the child says, we say afterwards, और फिर बात करेगा. So children have to be given, addressed when the need is there, when they want, and not when we have the free time or the spare time.
क्या हमारा समाज खुल के इन चीज़ों पर बात करने के लिए तैयार है? क्या हम खुल के इन समस्याओं को सबके सामने ला सकते हैं, या अभी भी हुश हुश टोन्स में बात करना चाहते हैं? ये प्रश्न हमें सबने अपने आप को पूछना है.
But guarding the child. Why we cannot, pinpoint the abuser? What stops us?
We are in this society where we have to be little modest. At the same time, we have also to send message that look what you are doing to the person. That message is very strong. It's strong from 2 points of view. I am saying that okay, now you leave and go as far as the kids are concerned. I think that goes to them. That is one. Secondly, it's a very important question which you have asked, that why we can't. We can say, but we can say not in front of the child, because child doesn't understand the whole that area, and then the child becomes more, because psychology of a child you really don't understand.
We don't want to break relationships. We are uncomfortable without accepting that people that we know could be having a very bad intention.
You have to behave cautiously as well as politely as well as gently. So either the child or the person, you can divert them.
The bathing suit area particularly, that is your own private area, and that nobody should touch you there, and that there are certain kinds of touches that you feel uncomfortable about, and that if you feel uncomfortable about those touches, you should speak to somebody, or first of all tell that person back that no, I don't like it. You have a right to say no.
Whosoever he might be, it is undoubtedly the person might be my own brother.
Malish, still malish, chappe. सर जो तेरा चकराए या दिल डूबा जाए, आजा प्यारे पास हमारे, काहे घबराए.
This was a case in 1997 which was fought by Sheila Barse, the famous journalist from Bombay. At that time no one was really even aware of that something like this existed in Goa, but she very quietly collected her information, and in 1997 she got this judgment through the district court in Goa against this person. Now it was not just a case of sexual abuse, but it is something called pedophilia. Now what is pedophilia is that it is adults who like to have sex with children, or who like to have children play with their sexual organs, and it is done in a particular way. It is the pleasure from children. Pedophilia is so dangerous because their theme is sex before 8 or it is too late. Sex before 8 or it is too late. So they want the child young.
How equipped you were in terms of sexual information when you were growing up?
Not very much, because those were not the days of television.
From the internet, from the TV, as some of you told me, right? And your parents are yet to inform you, am I right? They are yet to inform you?
Yeah. Yes.
But you are already informed?
Yes. उनको लगता है हमें मालूम नहीं है.
पर आपको तो मालूम है ना?
थोड़ा थोड़ा. क्या क्या
आपको क्या क्या मालूम है?
थोड़ा थोड़ा पेपर में जो हम रीड करते हैं तो थोड़ा थोड़ा मालूम। कहाँ क्या केसेस होते हैं लोनली प्लेस में, कहाँ कहाँ केसेस होते हैं और क्या क्या पनिशमेंट मिलती है उन्हें।
By the time my mother will tell me anything, I'll get to know everything.
ऐसा ये बात अच्छी नहीं है, वो कहती है।
क्या बात अच्छी नहीं है?
कर कोई टच करे ऐसे।
तो मैं तो आपको टच कर रहा हूँ।
आप मेरी टीचर है ना।
कौन टच नहीं कर सकता?
Strangers.
And believe me, when I got married, I wasn't even aware what is intercourse and how it is done and how a girl gets pregnant. Even when I was 17, when I got married, I didn't know anything. So definitely that particular incident really ruined my life.
For one thing, I feel that sex education has to be started much earlier than what it is started, because like I think I knew everything by 9, and probably my mother gave me sex education at 12 or 13 or 11 or whatever after I reached puberty. But I think children these days, and I'm now 50, so children these days come to know these things much earlier.
उनका तो ये straight रहता है कि लड़कियों के चक्कर में नहीं पड़ना है. Simple. The more moral and ethical issues they put up, they don't talk sexually, as you know, Indian community, how we are. They don't openly talk, but they tell you कि लड़कियों के चक्कर में नहीं पड़ने का, पढ़ाई और ये सब से तुम्हारा ध्यान हटेगा. That's where the basic instructions given to us, and we also follow it more or less blindly.
In a family, mom and dad should really join forces in order to give these two perspectives, because if it just comes from a father to a son or from a mother to a daughter, is not complete. If the two parents representing two sides of sex would sit down and discuss their own interpretations and understandings of sex and sexuality, then for a child is more comprehensive, is more equal than just one perspective.
Very often people talk about sex education. Well, my focus would be not on educating the child so much, but on educating the parents of how to extract information from their children or keep a hand on the pulse to know what is happening at the right time.
Today you hear it on every alternate paragraph of the newspaper is full of this kind of a thing. And many are not told, not related. So I think that way the children have to be informed.
Let me be very frank with you. I tried it out a couple of years ago and I had a very bad backlash from parents.
The adult world feels that when we educate the children in sex and sexuality, number one, they will start experimenting with it, with newly acquired knowledge. Number two, sex and sexuality is a sublime instinct, and discussing it in the classroom will make it mundane and will kill the innocence of the children, because they would start experimenting. All these misapprehensions are misplaced. And that's why we are conducting advocacy program, so that the parents, teachers understand the need of this intervention. We are training teachers so that they can know and they can have the confidence that we can discuss sex and sexuality in a dignified language, in the language of school education, in classroom situation.
And that is a prevention. Yeah, it's kind of a prevention strategy, because you're not there when a child's been abused, or raped. But later, you would see the traces of that disaster, It appears in a kind of a negative way.
Perhaps even today I don't feel that confident enough, all the while I am talking with people very happily, but that has stayed with me, that fear that you can always be cheated, something bad can happen to you.
As a grown-up person, I am very uncomfortable hugging men. Even now, till today.
Maybe some really nice, genuine person who loves and cares for children, he comes forward. I'll just close my ears and my mind, I'll play back the same incident. So this is a scar which leaves on the young mind.
Somewhere it dwarfs your personality. It removes or shares away your self-confidence, and that takes long time to heal. They haunt you. They are behind you like invisible shadows. They kind of dent your future sexual life.
But I never realized, that I can, this can destroy my married life, this particular incident. I don't know why. Now when I'm 38, 39, when I think about it, I feel कि अरे क्या मैंने किया था उस टाइम पे, इतना क्या इशू बना दिया था अपने आप को, इतना क्यों मैंने सोचा ऐसे. But I don't know why this happened to me, and it made me, go through so much of trauma, you can say.
So when we talk about the long-term effects of child sexual abuse, they're huge on the human psyche, on the sexuality, on the issue of trust, on receptivity, on being able to trust intimate relationships.
No, I'm not angry. I think I'm conscious. Conscious of the fact that that no child should go through such an experience.
Ma pa da sa sa re re sa da pa ma pa re ma pa dha ma pa.
Abusing children is something which is not acceptable at all.
Child is the most precious thing in the world. A child is what the world is. That is what real life is.